There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis.
I will say, though, there is no ambiguity that Kristi Noem got out immediately, lied, talked about snowbanks, talked about a lot of things that did not appear to be in any of these videos. And it was just this immediate reaction. The videos that are shown clearly underline the fact that you have someone responsible for this ultimately, that got out as quickly as she could at another event without the facts and lied to the American people. And of course, branded this victim, this 37-year-old mother who now has an orphaned child, a domestic terrorist, when there's no evidence of that whatsoever. It's just a bold-faced lie.
This is Renee Good. She's the 37-year-old woman who was murdered today by ICE in Minneapolis. She was a mom, a wife, a U.S. citizen, and according to her social media page, a shitty guitar. She seemed like a wonderful person. Do you know what it takes to become an ICE agent? First of all, they're not even agents. They're deportation officers. An agent is required to have a college degree. A deportation officer only needs to have a GED, a driver's license, and be a U.S. citizen. I should know because I spent 28 years conducting federal investigations, of which these guys were the subject of many of those investigations. Now, once you get hired, you go down to Georgia for 16 weeks to FLETC, the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center. Then you spend 25 days in Spanish language training. And in that entirely small time, you've only spent 12 hours in a classroom learning constitutional immigration law. 12 hours. And as long as you pass with a 70%, a C, that qualifies you to put on a mask and go out on American streets and terrorize human beings. And as we saw today, I guess kill them too. They're some of the least qualified law enforcement officers in America. And to put in perspective, to become a Baltimore City police officer, you're required to do 32 to 35 weeks worth of combined academy and field training. These guys just have to have a pulse.
His arm is going for his gun right here. He's going for his gun. For me, my first reaction, if I was afraid that I was going to get hit by this car, my first thing would have been to back up over here, just to back up a couple steps. That would have been that would have been me. But no. What does this motherfucker do? His first reaction is to draw his gun like he's fucking Wyatt Earp or something.
So today.
If you're dreaming.
I want to show you something. We can go frame by frame on this one. Keep an eye on this guy, the cold-blooded murderer, who's no doubt going to claim that he was afraid that his life was in danger, or whatever. For someone who's gonna no doubt claim that, he sure doesn't seem to be in any hurry to move out of the way. See, here you can see that instead of moving out of the way, he actually decides to draw his weapon and actually plant himself more firmly. In fact, he's leaning over the hood of the car right now, on purpose. If you go frame by frame, you can see his feet are actually beside the vehicle at this point. And there is the first time he pulls the trigger, when again, both of his feet show that he has fully cleared the front of that vehicle. And then the next two shots happen here, and then here. Both of which, where he's very clearly having to aim through the driver's side window and actually appears to be running after the vehicle to catch up to it. This, by the way, after very clearly signaling to the ICE officers to pass by her on that street, which she was very clearly not blocking nor obstructing, because moments earlier when she first started to pull out, another vehicle started pulling out similarly and crossed in front of her. So she was telling the next one to go on ahead. Not posing a threat, not obstructing nor impeding anything. Would you look at that?
So a couple of questions there. You asked about a shooting that we just had in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened, it was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well. You've seen me in the last couple of days deploy over 2,000 more officers to the Minneapolis area. And in the last 2 days, we've arrested hundreds and hundreds of dangerous criminals. Not just fraudsters who stole from the American people billions of dollars and put it in their pockets and enriched their friends from overseas and themselves, but also individuals who committed acts of murder and rape and trafficking and drug exploitation and child exploitation. So we're going to continue to do our work. And I want to remind everybody that the act like we saw today of using a vehicle to try to kill an officer and his colleagues and the other people around him is something that every politician, every elected official, everyone in this country should be able to rally around and say that it is wrong. And that sanctuary cities and sanctuary states that protect individuals who do that should no longer be allowed. That those individuals that are in leadership positions in these sanctuary jurisdictions need to work with us to make sure that every single person that's out there enforcing the law can be safe, but also so that all of our citizens can continue to be safe too. Domestic acts of terrorism like this will not stand, and I'm grateful that we have the leadership in Washington, D.C. that recognizes it, and will make sure that it's working to keep every single community safe, regardless of who's in charge in that city. President Trump gets up every day and will work to keep people safe, whether they're in a red state or a blue state or in a city that has a Republican mayor or a mayor that has a Democrat mayor. He's going to fight for every single American to make sure they live in a safe community and can raise their kids without fear.
The Department of Homeland Security has now released the following statement. Today, ICE officers in Minneapolis were conducting targeted operations when rioters, by the way, nobody was rioting. Nobody was rioting. They always use that language. This is how you already know that they are lying in this statement, because they use that type of language to try to make the other side violent and to try to justify their unjustifiable actions. They were conducting targeted operations when rioters began blocking ICE officers, which, by the way, United States citizens are allowed to stand in public spaces. And one of these violent rioters, nobody was being violent, weaponized her vehicle, attempting to run over law enforcement officers in an attempt to kill them. An act of domestic terrorism. An officer, fearing for his life and the lives of his fellow law enforcement and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. It goes on to say that they shot and killed her. Now let's address a couple things. First of all, eyewitnesses, I've already seen multiple videos since this happened of eyewitnesses who said that the car was parked there and ICE was saying that the car was in their way and they were directing the car to move. They were telling the car to move. And when the car began to move, they fired shots into the car. I want everyone to understand what eyewitnesses are saying. That the car was doing as ordered. By the way, we've heard this story time and time and time again in America. Police officers who are ordering someone to do something. This happened with Philando Castile in the same state, in Minnesota. They ordered Philando Castile said, I'm going to reach for my driver's license after being ordered to reach for his driver's license, and then the officer shot and killed him. You see, us allowing law enforcement in this country to just make up excuses to kill people is now being utilized by this Gestapo thug police force who doesn't have proper police training, who doesn't follow the laws that police follow, who wears military uniform but doesn't have military training. They are now using the same practices and procedures that law enforcement use to get away with these extrajudicial killings. This was not justified. There was no violent rioters. The driver was doing what was instructed by the ICE agents, which was moving their vehicle. This was a United States citizen. I guarantee these ICE agents didn't have a judicial warrant to be out in the neighborhood telling people that they can't be in places. You can't just pull up without a warrant signed by a judge of some criminal action and tell people that they can't park their car here or they can't stand here. You can't claim people are blocking ICE operations when they're just standing in public spaces and you're there without a judicial warrant. Of course, we'll learn more as it goes along, but let me go on record as immediately calling bullshit on Department of Homeland Security's bullshit ass statement.
She was scared and she started to drive off. She was trying to comply with what they said to get out of here, and then they were saying, then they were trying to pull her out of the car, and that's when she got scared and tried to drive away. She got shot, and then immediately her foot went on the gas. She was I think she was already dead, but her foot hit the gas. She drove off maybe 100 feet and then hit the telephone pole and hit some cars, and then she was just slumped in her vehicle. And they wouldn't let anybody near her. They had their guns out and were saying, "Stay back, stay back, stay back." And we have a neighbor who was. He's a physician, and he was yelling, "I'm a physician. Can I please administer CPR? Can I check her vitals? Can I please get through?" And they were like, "No, absolutely." They said, "No, shut up. We don't care. We have our own medics on their way." And then it was like 15 minutes before the EMS truck got here, and the EMS couldn't get their vehicle through. So they arrived on foot. They couldn't get through because of the ICE vehicles, to be clear. So they came through on foot. It was maybe 5 EMS people, and they checked her out for maybe 5 minutes, and then they carried her body like a f***ing sack of potatoes. They didn't even have a stretcher. They carried her out to the corner where they took her away.
We have some news this evening. Congresswoman Robin Kelly has announced plans to file articles of impeachment against Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem following today's horrific shooting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Congresswoman Robin Kelly has officially announced that she will be filing 3 articles of impeachment against Secretary Noem. She says, quote, "It's one thing to be incompetent and dangerous, but it's impeachable to break the rule of law. I told my constituents and Chicagoans that I fight against Secretary Noem's agenda. This is me fighting back." The 3 articles of impeachment that will be filed include obstruction of Congress for obstructing congressional oversight and withholding congressionally appropriated funds in violation of her constitutional oath, violation of public trust, how she has compromised public safety, violated due process of American citizens, and directed unconstitutional actions.
Reaction, just first of all, to the news coming out of Minneapolis?
I was, even for everything we've seen, I was shocked that they would shoot somebody. I saw the video, I was shocked that they would shoot somebody in cold blood like that. They have turned ICE into a completely rogue, not just an immigration enforcement organization, a rogue organization. We still cannot get confirmation about who all these new hires are, for example. I've seen reporting that they hired bounty hunters to go after people. I just saw this 287G agreement with one of the local governments in Texas that literally puts a bounty on the number of people, gives extra money to a police department for the number of illegal aliens that they capture.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I mean, they have turned it into a rogue organization, and I've said before, I think that it should be disbanded.
Happened a couple of hours ago, and we're already pitting American against American. All of you saw a video in your eyes. We have a chaotic situation caused by the largest deployment in American history of federal agents into a community with no communication to locals. We had a chaotic situation where an individual is in their car, shot and killed. And so, look, I want to be very cautious here because Donald Trump will make this about me. He will make this about politics. This is about public safety, and this is about normalcy. To Americans who are watching this, if you're in Portland or you're in LA or you're in Chicago or you're wherever they're coming next, stand with us. Stand with us against this. This was so preventable, so unnecessary, and I don't know. I hope. Maybe we're at the McCarthy moment. Do you have no decency? Do you have no decency? We have someone dead in their car for no reason whatsoever.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened, it was our...
Fuck you, you cunt.
Because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis, they were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over.
She did not attack. Bullshit.
Official line from federal authorities live.
It's time for the trucker John Livestream. Gonna be a good time. Oh yeah. The trucker John Livestream. Come along for a good time. It's a good time, good time, good time, good time. Trucker John Livestream. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna be the time of your life. Gonna talk some shit. Hush your mouth. Gonna talk a little smack. Gonna talk whatever comes of it. You're gonna always wanna come back. Well, yeah, it's the trucker John Livestream. He's the biggest, baddest, funniest mother you've ever seen. Watch your mouth, he's headed south. Not even sure what that means, but if it's one thing I know, the trucker John Livestream is the best thing you've ever seen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment you've been waiting for. Trucker John.
Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. All righty then. It is still morning. I apologize for the late time, for coming on so late. I had a lot of stuff to edit to get that intro together. I woke up, 2 hours early before the show. I thought that would give me plenty of time to do that. I was actually, I had Stephanie Miller playing in the background there, and all of a sudden her show was over, and I know her show goes off at 9, and I was still editing, and I was like, no! I was still editing when Stephanie Miller went off at 9 o'clock. So I finished up, and then I'm like halfway through it, or more than halfway. But I'm like, I can't just quit now. So I had to soldier on and continue with the editing process there. And then I I have to download it, and that took like 10 or 15 minutes, and so on and so forth. So anyhow, I apologize for being late. I know Nick Rich is really a stickler for that. He doesn't really like it when I'm late, but he should be used to it by now. But yeah, here we are. Gonna be a good time. Gonna be a good time. I know it's hard. Whenever I hear those lyrics in my song, I'm like, I don't know if it's gonna be a good time, because it has not been a good time so far. Not only the first 8 days of 2026, but really the whole year of 2025 was not so great either. Did you guys see a flickering of the lights? I think I did. I know it was really super. It sounded like it was really windy out, but I think the wind has died down. I don't know. Anyhow, it was weird. But yeah, so I mean, 2025 wasn't so great, and 2026 is not off to any better of a start. And I know many of you in the chat, myself included, have been saying, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better, and we're seeing where it's getting worse. Things are getting worse. So what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do? Now, the only meme that I have today to fill the spot is this one here. I don't know what the political aspirations of this guy are going to be. I have a feeling that he's going to be more than just a mayor at some point. Not that being just a mayor is not an important thing, but this guy here, that's why I opened with his clip when he says, I got one thing to say to fucking ICE, or I got one thing to say to ICE, is get the fuck out of Minnesota, or whatever he said. So, well, there it is right there in the quote. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. That's the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry. That's the quote of the day. Hell, that might be the quote of the year. 8 days in. I saw, in relation to this quote, someone on, I think it was either Instagram or Substack, they said, again, my hat is translucent, but they said something like, note to Chuck Schumer, this is how we want you to talk. Of course, Chuck Schumer will never do that because, well, my initial thing I was going to say about Chuck Schumer is he's a milquetoast, pussy ass little bitch. But actually, I don't think that's fair. I think he just comes from I think Chuck Schumer, I mean, he's older than me, right? Gotta be. He's like way older than me. I'm 65. So I think he comes from a whole different generation, a whole different time in politics. He's not really, talking about Chuck Schumer, he's not really sort of adapted to the times. I mean, you look at like Bernie Sanders, they're probably the same age or close to the same age, Schumer and Sanders. And Sanders, so you can't just say it's old or man of a generation. But, Chuck Schumer is who Chuck Schumer is. And, and I don't think we're ever going to see Chuck Schumer come out and say, dropping F-bombs and shit. But it is very disappointing when all we get from Chuck Schumer is, and this was the other day talking about the Venezuela thing, I think, when he said, I'm very disappointed. It was really like, a facepalm moment the other day when Chuck Schumer's like, I was very disappointed in, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, really? I mean, okay, you're not going to drop an F-bomb. You're not going to tell Trump to go fuck himself. Okay, I get that. But this whole thing of I was disappointed. Fuck you. Could you come up with something a little more harsh, a little more serious, something a little more intense than fucking I was disappointed. Fuck you. I've got playing on the TV Minneapolis protest. Protesters are being tear gassed in Minneapolis. Anyhow, let me go to the chat real quick. I'm not able to go to the very beginning. I did see earlier, I think Sandy and Paul, Sandy Foltz and Paul Burrows were here. And now I'm not able to scroll to the top, but I do see Nick Rich saying batteries. So I don't know if that was because I was late and he was wondering if my battery died or something, even though I plug in. I'm plugged in. Anna Moore's here. Hey, Anna Moore, good to see you. Paul Burrows again. There's Paul. Michael McAndrews. Michael McAndrews is here. Nola Carnes. Hey, Nola, good to see you. Thanks for popping on into the driver's lounge. MJ Daniel from up there in Washington State. Checking in at 9:25. So about 40 minutes ago, when MJ was waiting ever so patiently, and I appreciate you. Anna Moore says, I was sad to hear that the feds blocked the state from investigating yesterday's murder by ICE in Minnesota. I'm certain that we all know the reason. Well, I guess that's old Googly Eyes. That might have been old Googly's Eyes call on that, I guess. I guess people talking about their pot smoking. Fine, that's fine. And vaping. We got some vaping and pot smoking. Okay. I'm just perusing the chat here real quick. As I look for people to say hi to. Oh, Fancy's here. Hello, Fancy. Good to see you. Yeah, Fancy. This is probably 30 minutes ago, and Fancy said I'll check back. So hopefully, Fancy's back. I don't know. Catherine Real Health Talks here, or at least was here. Again, I'm looking at chats from over half an hour ago. Where the hell is TJ? Kathy says. I was frantically editing my intro together. Is what I was doing at that point, probably. Or either that, or it was downloading still not to YouTube, but to my photo gallery, so I could put it into the Prism app, and then from there put it in the intro section of this when we start the live stream. But Trazi 1920, no John yet. No, at that point, no. John was busy. William, there's William. Petrazi says, yippee. Maybe that might have been when I started the show. I don't know. So yeah, I think the intro's playing at this point here because someone said, or Michael said, makes you cry. So I think they're talking about the intro. MJ Daniel says, watch her front wheels. She was trying to get out of the way. I went over that in quite some detail, by the way. If you guys have been watching many of my videos, it seems like you don't. I did go in that in quite the detail, and I did mention the wheels turning to the right. If you look at my videos I've posted about the thing, and that was taken from the live stream that we did yesterday. And Republican Senate and Congress do nothing. Maybe email them and flood their phone lines. Absolutely, flood the phone lines, postcards. Go to their office. Go to their they're too spineless to have town halls. But yeah, anyway, we need to. We need to tell them that we're not putting up with this shit. We're not going to put up with this Nazi Gestapo bullshit. Belfast Bob is here. Hey, Belfast Bob, good to see you. Thanks for popping on in. We got DPD 5844 in the driver's lounge. Thanks for being here, DPD. DPD! Thanks for being here. I'm just scrolling down. Penny to Create is here. Hey, Penny to Create, good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Yeah, this is when you guys were watching the intro, because Penny says, of course the monsters blame their victim. MJ Daniel says, time for we the people to get out in the streets and remind MAGA that this is the fucking USA. That's right. This isn't Nazi fucking Germany, and Putin's a bad guy, by the way. But they seem to have forgotten that. Bill Carnes, why she got to have that big hat on? Well, in her defense, I know people have been making fun of the hat because it's like the first thing you see is this big, giant 10-gallon cowboy hat or whatever. But she was out in the sun, and the cowboy hats have the big, wide brims to shield you from the sun, shield you from the elements. It helps keep rain off your face if it's raining. That's why it's kind of built, where it's kind of scooped and you can kind of, it just sort of, it's like a rain gutter. Cowboy hats are like a rain gutter. It wasn't raining, but they also serve as a good way to keep sun off your face. So I can't really, I see the practicality of it. Although she might have just been wearing it because she thought it looked cool and she likes to dress up, in her cosplay. But still, I can kind of, give her a bit of a pass. She doesn't want to melt out there in the sun. All that plastic surgery, it might not hold up very well in the sun. So, a big wide-brimmed hat like that. That's why she had it kind of down low to keep the sun off that all that work. Who knows how long she was in the makeup chair? So you don't want that to just melt away. So here I am defending Kristi Noem. I can't believe I just did that. But if you see at the end of my intro, that was me flipping the bird and cussing her out. So, there's that. Catherine Real Talk says Tim Walz is very controlled in this. Yeah, because he's a he's not an unstable genius, apparently. Catherine Real Health Talk says Malcolm Nance has fantastic video from yesterday about this. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. We got Forward in Florida says, when will this nightmare end? Well, it won't end until we get these motherfuckers out of the White House and we take back control of the Congress. Then it might just become maybe it'll go from nightmare to, to like what I'm trying to get at is just because, say we take back Congress, we get back the White House eventually with good Democrats. I don't want to say, then all will be fine and dandy. Everything will be perfect. There's still going to be issues. There's still going to be problems. There's probably still going to be some blue dogs in there. There's still going to be some like Joe Manchin type people and Kirsten Sinema type people to rear their ugly fucking heads. So it's not going to be perfect when we do take back control. But it will be a hell of a lot better than it is now, and a hell of a lot better than it's been for the last year, and a hell of a lot better than it was during Trump's first term. I mean, it's not even close how much better it will be. But it won't be perfect, and we will have gripes and complaints, and we will have blue dogs that we don't like, and that will be the fly in the ointment that will be there to throw a monkey wrench in the works. We'll be dealing with that, but even with that and how frustrating that is, that was better than it is now. And I mean, right? I mean, how could you say it's not? How could you say it wasn't? So anyhow. Let's see. Catherine Real Talk says Hal Sparks was so wrong about it yesterday. He's supposed to be smarter than that. You know what? I kind of caught. I guess I came in a little late, and I think I just caught the last
part of what he was talking about, like, the Minneapolis shooting and how, this is the fault of because we voted for Trump or something like that, and how nothing's going to happen. I think he was saying how nothing's going to happen to that officer because it's going to show that the car was moving forward or something. I kind of just caught a little bit of that. So yeah, and I was going to back that up and listen to it, but then I just kept listening to the show. So yeah, I guess I can't comment too much on that, but I kind of didn't like the gist of what I was hearing. I think I agree with you, Catherine. Basically, is what I'm trying to say. Nick Rich, only 56 minutes behind the schedule. If you heard my reasoning behind that, I hope you'll accept that because it's the truth. It's nothing but the truth. I woke up 2 hours early to get my editing done, and it took longer than I thought. There was a lot of stuff I had to pare down. I got a lot of clips, and and then I go through them, and then I eliminate a lot of stuff. I try to keep it kind of like a good flow to the intro, and I whittle stuff down. I cut stuff down. A lot of that stuff is cut down. That was about an 18-minute intro, I think. I probably whittled that down from probably at least 45 minutes worth of raw material, maybe more, maybe an hour worth of raw material. I whittle that shit down. I cut it down, and so it takes time. And so I hope that you'll forgive me, Nick Rich, and anyone else who's pissed off. Because you just can't get enough of the old Trucker John. You're just chomping at the bit. You're like, where is he? Where is he? I want to see that beautiful, fat, ugly, scraggly face. So here I am. I hope you're happy now. Let's see, where was I at? Hey, there's Fairy in the chat. Fairy in the chat says, we need more live streamers out in Minnesota. I wish I could be there. We need boots on the ground. Well, there's quite a few videos going on right now. Well, I don't know who this is from, but yeah, I mean, probably the more the merrier. We got James Green. James Green's here. Hey, James, good to see you. James says, good morning, sir. Many blessings to you. And likewise to you, too. Catherine says, echo, echo, echo. Do we have an echo? I'm probably 30 minutes behind, so hopefully whatever echo there was, I hope it cleared up. I guess this is when I first came on, maybe. It's not really an echo. It's me turning up the volume on my iPad just so I can see if the mic was working. So it's like probably not even 2 seconds of that. So, but it was long. I guess it was long enough that you had to type out a comment about it. Forward in Florida says, Hal will own his error, I hope. Yeah, well, I don't know. I like I said, I didn't hear the whole thing, so I'm not really going to comment too much on that because I don't know exactly what he was saying. Like I said, I just kind of came in on when he was talking about that. Damon Dog, the big dog's here. Hey, Damon Dog, good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Damon Dog says, I've been upset since the shooting. I lost my motivation. Oh, man. This is when you need to paint more, Damon Dog. You should. I don't want to tell you to turn off this show, but give me a like, and maybe turn off all media for a while, and just go back to painting. Turn off the TV. Don't watch any news. Don't even watch Hal. Don't watch me. Don't watch Boss Brian. Just turn it off for a few days if it's and just go right to your painting. That's my suggestion. You can take it for what it's worth, I guess, but that's my suggestion, man. Sometimes we need to unplug and just get away from it, step away from it for a while. And I think painting, you're a very talented painter. I've seen your paintings, And maybe that will be your best medicine for you, is just to go turn off the TV, play your favorite music, and paint. You know, that's what I would do for a few days or however long you need. And I don't even know if you're still on right now, because this is probably a 30-minute ago post. Let's see. Did I miss Double O Kevin 7 coming in? Well, there's the Troll Slayer. I don't know if I said hi or not. So there you are. Hello, 007. Kevin. Whenever I say Kevin, I'm always like, Kevin. Anyhow, the Troll Slayer says, every time I saw Trump 2028 ICE wins again, I'm always like, hey, you wish, bye-bye, laughing out loud. Alrighty then. Well, alrighty then. Alrighty then. Damn it, dog, time to chuck Schumer out the door. He needs to retire, and AOC needs to run. And if he doesn't retire, then she needs to primary his ass. And I'm not as anti-Schumer as a lot of you guys. I'm not completely anti-Schumer. I just don't like that he's so, is it self-unaware? I think of how kind of milquetoasty he comes across, and mild, and it just comes off so ineffective. David Doug says, the first politician that says we will prosecute every illegal act from top to bottom gets my vote. DPD says, TJ, my dad is in his 80s, and he has a heart of gold and the mouth of a filthy sailor, which is where I got my potty mouth from. Yeah, we pick up a lot of our parents' mannerisms, I suppose, good or bad, right? This coffee was good. Coffee's good today. Nick Rich enjoying today. How about you, Damon Dog? Belfast Bob says, Troll Slayer reminds me of 70s and 80s. Here's soldiers in full riot gear, armed to the teeth, and we Belfast grannies out shouting at them and scaring them. DPD 5844 says it's important to note that originally the Nazi Gestapo were in training for 5 months, but now they have to cut the training time to 47 days. I guess you're talking about ICE, right? I thought you were talking about the actual 1930s Gestapo, but yeah. 47 days to coincide with Orange Pedophile 47. Anna Moore says, I was just reading your chat, Damon Dog. Please don't let these actors rob you of your joy. Yeah, like I say, if you need to take a break from the stuff going on, just turn it off and turn up some music and paint. For as long as you need. Hopefully it's not forever, though. Belfast Bob, she never grew out of her Barbie doll days. Now she thinks she's a real living Barbie doll, I guess. Talking about Christy Nome. David Weiss from Denver's here. Hey, David, good to see you. David says 34th in Portland and Minnesota, very close to where George Floyd died. Yeah, I've heard that in the reports. I had an apartment on Lake and Blaisdell for 8 years. I hate this shit. Paul Burrow says, do you know why Cowboys have their names on their belts? No, I don't. MJ Dano says she likes to play dress up. Okay, so skip some of that stuff. Not that it's not valid, but I think we've talked about that enough. I think. Deepa D says bullshit. TJ, she was wearing the hat to keep her face from. I said that. I didn't say the running away part, but I basically said the same exact thing. Maybe you typed that before I said it or something. I don't know. But I said that. It's exactly what I said, almost verbatim. You almost quoted me there. You're almost quoting me. So you don't need to say it's bullshit. There was no bullshit detected. Especially when I say the same exact thing that you just said. So, Mad Mac, I gotta watch the intro before going into the live stuff. Catherine Real Talk, some guys interpret anything from females as a challenge and will do anything to win. Blam, this lady is dead. Prove me wrong. Well, as far as the ICE shooter is concerned, I think, and as also, I put myself in the intro. I'm the one that says he pulled his gun like he was Wyatt Earp. That was me. I think this guy had this. I think a lot of these guys they want to shoot somebody. They think they're John Wayne. They think they're Wyatt Earp. He drew his gun out like he was in a Wild West shootout. If you see the video, he draws his gun out. I think the guy was just chomping at the bit to just get any excuse to fucking murder someone with his gun. I don't know if it had anything to do with her being a female. Now, I guess I can't prove you wrong. Well, I guess we have to get inside the head of that motherfucker. But I think for a lot of these guys, talking about we talk about Gnome and her dress up and cosplay. These motherfuckers, a lot of them, this is cosplay, or this is like their wet dream. Like they actually get to dress up like soldiers and carry weapons and get to shoot guns, and and they don't care if they hurt somebody. I think it was kind of that, but whatever it was, Catherine, it's fucked up. It was fucked up, and that guy needs to be charged with murder. I think the Minnesota AG, Keith Ellison, should charge him on state charges, so then that way Trump can't pardon him. They need to apprehend that motherfucker, perp walk his ass into the court, and give him a hearing and charge him with murder. Bob LeBlanc is here. I'm nominating Trucker John for the second annual FIFA Peace Prize. Know how he loves peace and soccer. Yeah, there you go. Well, at least you call it soccer, Bob. At least you have the common sense to call it soccer. Anamore, I get it, Damon Dog. She was a human being and was shot just like that. I think you're saying, where are the articles of impeachment? Well, in the intro, Aaron Parnas had a breaking news thing there that a representative, I forget the name of the representative, but that representative has filed articles of impeachment against Kristi Noem. I guess you're talking about Trump, maybe. Impeachment. I think several others have introduced articles of impeachment against Trump in recent weeks. So, Catherine Real Talk, by the way, TJ's been a while. Hi and blessed New Year. Yeah, it's been a while. I'm glad to see you come back. Always, the door's always open for you, and you're always welcome back into the driver's lounge. Oh yeah, so Nick Rich says here's Nick Rich clearing up what Hal said. Nick says that Hal said that it will be considered a clean shoot. He didn't agree with what the court will do. There was another clip I was going to put in, and I left it out. It was by the same gal who, in this intro, who sort of did a little bit of a frame by frame from that shot that we all have seen, from kind of the back of the car. And then there's another video she does where this is after the wreck, and the car is just sitting there wrecked, and it's like someone took a still shot of the front, and you can see in the windshield there's one bullet hole, and it's kind of in the lower right hand corner. It's not like dead center. It's not like up high. It's like down in the lower corner. And she's talking about how, it kind of shows where he was placed. Like if he was really right in front of the vehicle and about to be run over, then it seems like the bullet hole would have been more in the center and not down in the corner. And she's talking about, can't wait to see the ballistics and the forensics and all that. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of evidence and a lot of stuff, but to come out, there needs to be a lot of work that needs to be done forensically. I'm not sure if we have a lot of faith in the Kash Patel run FBI, who I think they took over the case. Marie Gian Greco is here. Hey, Marie, good to see you. Thanks for popping on in. Haven't seen you in a while either, so glad to have you come back. Bonnie Balcom's here. Hey, Bonnie, good to see you. Bonnie says, I was trying to do laundry in the basement, but the sewer drain is clogged. I'm the only one in the building that uses the washers, so I had to send a maintenance request. Mad Mac is here. Slava Ukrainian to Mad Mac. Maybe, did you finish watching the intro? I don't know. Tim Farrell, the Farrell one's here. Hey, Tim, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. Haven't seen Tim in a while either. Thanks for popping on in. We are acting like pretty good Democrats right now. We got 36 watching and 38 thumbs up, so we do have a slight. Oh, now we got 37 watching. We still have a slight surplus, so that's good. Catherine Real Health Talk says Agent Orange wants civil war here and world war abroad, all to cover up the e-files. Man, those e-files must be pretty bad. He's willing to start a world war over it. It's all going to come out anyhow, even without the World War, or even with the World War, even with the Civil War. It's all going to come out eventually, but maybe he's hoping he'll just be dead by then. I don't know. So he doesn't have to face the shame. Although, speaking of Hal Sparks, I think, doesn't Hal say, since he's a sort of malignant narcissist, sociopath, that he doesn't feel shame, but he can be embarrassed. So maybe he doesn't want to face the embarrassment. And so even though he probably knows that someday it's all going to come out, but maybe he's just trying to delay it and delay it so that it won't be when he's still alive, I don't know. Who knows what goes on through that very spooky mind of his, of Trump's. DPD 5844 says the Nazi Gestapo is headed to California next to create more havoc, chaos, and destruction. Yeah, isn't that was? I think I also heard Noam say something like, you know, Newsom said bring it, and she's like, okay, so we're gonna bring it. And Anna Moore says, TJ, I want to thank you for bringing such great folks on this chat together. We are talented and concerned citizens who live our republic, who love our republic. David Dog, you're a part of the community, and we care about you. Absolutely, we do care about you. DVD says, great minds think alike. Okay. I just want you to know that I did say that. Because you came out a little harsh and you said bullshit. You said I was bullshitting. I said I was, bullshit. You said bullshit. I just want to make sure you. All right, never mind. Mad Max says the guy was completely safe. He shot 3 fucking times. Yep, and 2 times he was not in front of the car. He was on the side of the car. Clearly, the first time he was like, like I pointed out, he was sort of by the front left headlight, kind of like, you know what I mean? And he had plenty of time to draw his gun. And like I said, if it was me and I thought the car was going to come at me, I would have just stepped back to the right, or step to my right. That's all he had to do. But no, he wants to be fucking John Wayne, pull out his gun. And that was the first shot. The car goes by him, and he shoots 2 more times as the car is like, he's on the side of the car. He's not even in front of the car. And I think those are the 2 shots that hit her. That first shot may or may not have hit her. That's what we need to get the forensics and the ballistics and all that out. The first shot may or may not have even hit her. But she definitely was hit. She died right there on the scene. But I bet you the next 2 shots, he just shot basically right through the window, the side window. And that those were the kill shots, probably. John Glad's here. Always glad to see John Glad. Thanks for popping on in. Thanks for popping on in. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much. Oh. James Green. Hey, James says that guy flat out broke their own rules by firing on a moving vehicle. Troll Slayer says, Trucker John, I'm just waiting for ICE to say you want to be deported, Pilgrim. You want to be deported? When I was a kid, when I was in elementary school, I could do an excellent John Wayne. I can't do John Wayne now to save my life. Hey there, Pilgrim. That Pilgrim used to be, that was kind of the little catchphrase. Remember John Biner? I think John Biner did a really good John Wayne. Of course, all the impressionists, impersonators from the 60s and 70s, they all did John Wayne. I remember John Biner, if you remember him. He did a really good John Wayne. And I think I kind of copied John Biner as a kid. It just shows you when you're a kid how you're just a sponge. I mean, I'm talking like when I'm like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years old, 11 years old. I could do a dead-on John Wayne. I can't do John Wayne anymore. It's like, I guess because I stopped doing that kind of stuff, maybe. I don't, and it's like the old thing, lose it or use it or lose it. But it'd be like, hey there, I can't even attempt to do it. I swear to God, as a kid, I did a really good John Wayne. Hey there, Pilgrim. See, I can't do it. It's not, it's going to take some work. I have to do it off camera, because I'm just too shy. Anyhow, yeah. Catherine Real Talk says the federal government is stopping state investigators, said on Tom Hartman today. Yeah, like I said, old Googly Eyes is taking over the investigation. They should have state investigators there. In my opinion. Mad Max says, what I think would be appropriate is to have the governors of each state bring in National Guard themselves to protect the citizens. They would be at odds with themselves, ICE versus National Guard. Well, that's probably what Tim Walz is doing. He's already kind of called up the National Guard and put them on notice, I guess, to be ready. Probably Gavin Newsom will do the same, but probably Pritzker would do the same, I guess. I don't know. DPD says Renee was the mother of three. With DPD, I gotta punctuate myself here. 2 teenagers and a 6-year-old who reports say she had just dropped the baby off, 6-year-old baby, I guess, at school. Her husband passed away from cancer, so now 3 children are now orphaned. For what? Yeah, the school was basically right around the corner from where this happened, I think. It was really close by. And I believe her wife, because she married a woman after her husband died, apparently. I think the 6-year-old is her child with her husband, and the other 2, I think, are probably, it's like a mixed family or a blended family, right? When you marry someone who has kids. But anyhow, those are all, still her kids. And what was I going to say? Oh, I think the wife was there with her, or I think, like when you see the shooting and then the car, goes off and hits the pole, and then you see this one woman running across the road. I think that was her wife. It's kind of funny how in all this, a lot of this shit doesn't get explained. But I'm pretty sure that was her wife, because her wife was there. Last night, if you were watching Riverboat Jack was playing a bunch of videos. And there's a video from a guy who was living in the apartments right where the wreck happened. And he was just sort of like, he heard all the commotion, and so he was just sort of standing out by the front door. And this woman came up and was crying and bawling her head off. And he's asking her, like, questions. And that was the wife. So she was there. And she was crying, and then she got up and left, and you could see blood left on the snow because she was in the car. I mean, after the wreck, I think she was out of the car when the shooting happened. Because I think they were trying to, I don't know what they were doing. Because remember, there was another car that had the door open. I don't know if they were trying to help that car or whatever. But anyhow, she runs to the car. This is, I think. And then I did see either a really choppy video or a photograph or something where they show the wrecked car and the doors kind of open, and you can see these legs coming out. At first, I didn't know if that was the dead body, like somehow, like her legs were hanging out. But that was actually, I think, the wife's legs who went in, and she got in the car, and she was, trying to tend to her mortally wounded, or maybe already dead, I don't know, but wife at that time. And then I guess the ICE agents came and they pulled her out and made her get out. And then she went, and she was basically, while this guy was videoing, and she just went over to the side and was crying and upset, understandably. So the wife was there. It's kind of funny how they don't really say that. I mean, you kind of got to piece this shit together. But so she saw the whole thing. She witnessed the whole thing, and she was right there because they had just, I think together they had just dropped off the 6-year-old at school, and then they have, you know, they were part of those what do they call it, advocate teams or whatever, and they get notices about ICE being in the neighborhood. I think they got one of those notices on their phone, and they're like, hey, let's go check it out, to be observers. They went there to be observers, to make sure that ICE wasn't doing anything that they're not supposed to be doing. And it turned out to be very, very fatal. Belfast Bob says, saw the police surrounding the ICE building near shooting completely, sirens on full belt all night, which was fucking good. If they weren't good, if they were ICE, got no sleep. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, it's about, I think I saw something like that where they're making all the noise and everything. Damon Dog, you talked me into it, painting and listening. You reminded me of an old saying: don't say I'll do such and such when I feel better. Just go ahead and do it. Then you'll feel better. Yeah, I think so. I think so. And it doesn't hurt to try. I know. Give it a try. Nick Rich says cowards die 1,000 times before their death, but the valiant taste of death but once. Shakespeare. Mad Max says, great intro, TJ. Really showed a lot of stuff important to this case. Thank you, Mad Mac. They fucking cleaned up the scene immediately, so no further investigation could happen. Yeah. Yeah, they were definitely contaminating the crime scene. James Green says he will be found. He was caught without his mask on. Yeah, I think, like, I did post a picture on my community page that was AI generated. So because he had his mask on during the shooting, and so there was an AI picture of what the AI thinks he would look like. But then I think during my gathering clips this morning, and I didn't put it in because it's just, you know, like I said, I try to get things to fit and whatever. But there, I wanted to verify this time that I saw a photo of, I think it was a real photo of him without his mask, and it wasn't AI. But I didn't have time to, like, you know, verify if that was really him and really not AI. So, but there, if that was true, and I think it was true. There are photos of the guy. You know, he should be brought up on murder charges. James Green, I do have fine Duke. Man, I'm telling you, I used to be able to do a really good John Wayne, and now I can't. I don't know what's going on with me. And I haven't been able to do it for quite a long time. For some reason, at some point in my life, I used to be able to. I was a pretty good impressionist or impersonator, whatever, when I was a kid. You know, like elementary school, junior high, even into high school, and then somewhere along the line, I just stopped doing it, and like you just lose that memory muscle or muscle memory or whatever. I guess I don't know. Mr. Spock, Super Dave. I don't know what we're talking about. Did Super Dave do a John Wayne? So it come out Super Dave Osborne, Officer Jaime, I think his name was one of his characters, who is actually who just passed away a few years ago. If we're talking about the same guy, and I didn't know until he passed away that he is the brother of God damn it, was just on the tip of my tongue. Albert Brooks. Albert Brooks, that was his brother. Super Dave Osborne, I believe, if that's what we're talking about. DPD says, if Crazy Eyes is allowed to control the narrative, I sincerely hope that all the witnesses make copies of the truth before all the evidence is tampered with. They are not to be trusted. Yeah, I wouldn't trust any of them as far as I could throw them. Catherine Real Hell Talk says Malcolm Nance said that for sure the lady that was murdered had a recording phone in her vehicle, and ICE probably seized the phone or whatever equipment was there. So they were there to record what was going on, before that shooting, I guess. Troll Sayer says James Green, I do a good Clint Eastwood. There comes a time when you have to. There comes a time. I don't do a good. You have to ask yourself, do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Right now, you're probably asking yourself, how many rounds did you shoot? Oh, I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it. Barbara Nicholas, I heard her partner and dog were with her. Yeah, and the dog was there too. And yeah, so I know I'm behind in the chat, and I just addressed all that. And you probably wrote that before I said that. But yeah, she had the dog, and she was asking ICE, can I at least get the leash? Because I guess the leash was in the car, and she wanted to put her dog on the leash so the dog wouldn't be running around all over the place, and they wouldn't let her. Because they're just heartless, fucking, sociopaths. It's like Trump's little army of sociopaths. If there's one requirement, it's probably that you're required to be a sociopath. Catherine Real Hot Talk says, correct, TJ, her wife was recording it. She was there. ICE also prevented a doctor. Yeah, I saw that. The doctor was there from rendering any possible aid. They lied and said medics were on the way, and they weren't. Actually, they lied. They said, well, the way they said it was like they had medics like on scene right now. It's like we have our own medic. They made it sound like the medics were already there. And really what it was is they were just waiting for EMT to get there, and it was like a 20-minute wait. And they had a hard time getting in because, as I posted the intro with the witness in there, was saying that the roads were blocked with ICE vehicles. So they had to walk in with this. Did I have that on the video? I know I saw videos of them coming in with stretchers and like walking down that street to get to where they moved her to. And they, they just these ICE assholes, they just pick her up, like the lady said, like a sack of potatoes. Went around the corner. It's like they were trying to. It wasn't out of concern for her. It's like they were trying to hide what was going on. They were trying to hide everything. Like they found a spot behind the hedge, and then but you can see they were doing CPR on her. But I don't know, CPR for someone who's been shot in the head a few times. I don't know how that's gonna do any good. Mad Mac, those assholes will use the fact that she was bisexual to further try to spread hate about gay people for the maggot mindless lemmings you watch. They'll say no sympathy for gays, the hateful animals. Yep. Yep. Mad Mac, you do a pretty good Elvis. And even that, I used to do way better. Even Elvis, I did way, way better than I do now. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, love me tender. I used to do such a better Elvis. Mad Mac, I loved watching Super Dave Osborne. Did you know that Surfer Dave Osborne was Albert Brooks' brother? Do you know who Albert Brooks is, right? Famous actor, comedic actor, and but also serious stuff. David Dog says she was a certified legal observer. Yeah, that's right. They I think they go to like a seminar or a class or whatever, and they are taught like what to say, what to do, what to look for, what the laws are, what the Constitution says about all this stuff. Yeah, and she got certified for that. Barbara Nicholas says Vance is still doubling down. She tried to ram him. Yeah, that's what they're going to keep saying, because that's the narrative. That's the defense, that she used the car as a deadly weapon, and tried to run him down, and so he was acting in his self-defense. That's age old. That's like Jolly Good Ginger was saying. That is an age old thing that cops have been saying for forever. Nick Rich 2051. I'm only 4 minutes behind you, Nick Rich. 4 minutes behind you, Nick Rich. I'm 4 little tiny little baby minutes behind you, Nick Rich. 4 minutes behind. I'm 4 minutes behind. I'm 4 minutes behind. I'm just 4 little minutes behind. Mad Max says, laughing out loud, Super Dave was so damn funny. I thought he was hilarious. I love Super Dave. He did pass away a few years ago. Catherine Hill Talk says that was a kill shot. Shots like Charlie Kirk, only a little different. Mad Mac TJ has left the building. Catherine Real Hot Talk. I live in Chicago. I thought long ago, if some motherfucker comes near my vehicle and looks like he might attack me or carjack me, I'm slamming that acceleration pedal. A situation like this, damn. I think what kind of set this whole thing off is when the ICE officers or whatever they are, the two that got out of the car, and then the one guy, just like I mentioned in my video, is like on a beeline, goes right to the door and just grabs her, tries to grab at the door handle. Instead of just walking up to the car calmly and saying, "Hey, would you please move?" or "What's the problem, ma'am? Is there a problem?" Or whatever. That guy is what scared the victim there, because she probably thought, just like I thought when I was watching it, that he was going to just open the door, just grab her and yank her out of the car. And so I could see why she would be like, "Fuck, I'm getting out of here." And so that's what she tried to do. She tried to get the fuck out of there, because this guy was about ready to yank her out of the car, throw her out and throw her down on the fucking icy road and do God knows what. So that fucker really, I mean, not to say that the shooter wasn't to blame, or he's right there. He was, of course, he like I said, he had this John Wayne mentality, and this like this Yahoo, I just want to shoot people mentality. That's what I think. And who knows, a whole host of probably mentalities, I guess. Nola Carnes says Albert Brooks was a producer. No, you're thinking of maybe Mel Brooks. Are you thinking of Mel Brooks? Mel Brooks was an actor, comedian, writer, director, producer. Albert Brooks is mainly an actor, but he's probably, I think Albert Brooks has directed and maybe produced a little bit, but he's mainly known for his acting. Yeah, I think you're confusing Albert Brooks with Mel Brooks. DPD says, yesterday I sat out on our deck with a glass of scotch. I sat there contemplating what the fuck is happening. How can we live amongst people who take pleasure in other people's pain, and how do we certify it never happens again? Well, we have to just be vigilant and be involved, and we need to come together and show our strength in numbers. There's definitely a strength in numbers, so we do need to come together. We need to unify and let these motherfuckers that in no uncertain terms will we put up with it. In no uncertain terms. Catherine, real talk, and keep your windows rolled up. I know, I was thinking that too. Like, I don't know if it would have made any difference or not, but make sure your doors are locked at that point. But she was there, and she, like you said, she was waving cars around. She had the window down because she was waving cars around her and stuff, But if her doors were locked, and they might have been, because the guy tried to open the door, but maybe roll the window up. In hindsight's 2020. So if she had just, rolled her window up and just stayed there and not moved the vehicle, then that wouldn't have given that other guy any type of excuse. You know what I mean? Hey, Aaron's here. Good to see Aaron. Thanks for coming on in. Bad Max says, keep your doors locked and windows up. Keep your car running and in gear. Catherine, Real Hot Dog says, why do these people have their windows down? Never roll down your windows. You can talk through glass. Like I said, she was there and had the window down so she could wave cars around her. Nola Carr says, TJ, you're right. I remember now who he was. Had a blonde moment. Yeah, he was. Remember that movie with Jack Nicholson, right? And the little gal with the little twangy accent. What's her name? Was it Network TV or something? I forget. It wasn't Network, but Gino Maynard's here. Hey, Gino says, standing in front of a vehicle directly violates law enforcement training. It escalates a traffic stop into a life and death scenario. And obviously these motherfuckers have almost no training, these ICE motherfuckers. They don't have any training. They're all they're just goons. They're just Trump's goon squad. Like in the intro, the guy says, all they need is a pulse. All they need is a pulse and to be sufficiently, racist and bigoted enough to meet Trump's standards. Bill Carr says there's going to be protests everywhere. I wish I could go. I've got some protests on the TV right now. They are. I don't know what's going on. There's a guy holding a flag against the fence, and I don't know. Am I back? Al Brooks is still alive. Yeah, I didn't say he wasn't. I said his brother died. I read he has been having a hard time with Rob Reiner's death. I bet. Yeah, they were all those guys. Billy Crystal, Albert Brooks. They were all good friends. Yeah, I said that Super Dave Osborne died. And Super Dave Osborne was Albert Brooks' brother, or Al. Um, Nick Rich 1103. Oh wow, I'm completely caught up. And Nick has got to go. Well, thanks for being here, Nick. I appreciate you. Oh, man, thanks for coming on in. Have a good day. Have a good day, sir. We'll see you on the next one. DPD says it doesn't matter if your doors are locked with windows up. I don't recall where the incident happened, but there was a couple who were in their car. The Gestapo busted out. Well, that's true. They are busting out windows. I've seen a bunch of those videos too. Because these guys aren't cops, and they seem to think that they can do whatever they want. At least the cops, as flawed and fucked up as many of the cops are, actual police officers are. Usually, if the window's rolled up, you can just say, you just give them your name, rank, and serial number, and you can say, hey, call your supervisor or whatever, and the cops will usually they'll just stand out there and go, all right. But these motherfuckers, they're not cops, and they feel like they've been given a mandate by Trump himself, by their dear leader. They've been given carte blanche to do whatever they want. So yeah, you're right. They just bust out windows and yank people out through the car windows. And that's when she saw that the first guy go for it and just immediately grab her door handle very aggressively. She's seen those videos too, probably, of people being dragged out of their cars and shit. So she's like, oh fuck no, I'm getting out of here. James Jaramillo's here. Hey, James, good to see you. James says, listening to Shady Vance lie like a cheap rug about this was fucking infuriating. I heard, Trump's statement. That was infuriating. Gnomes, what she was saying is infuriating. JD Vance. Little Mikey Johnson was saying some shit. Everything they say is going to be infuriating because it's such a fucking lie. It's like, it really is like 1984. I said this earlier, yesterday, or even before that these fucking Nazi fucking Republicans that we have now, they all read 1984 in high school, like we all did, and they took it to be like a how-to book, a how to run a government book, instead of being a cautionary tale. Because what we're living through is kind of a combination between whatchamacallit, God damn it, the show with the ladies that were made into being baby incubators. We're a combination of that and in 1984, because even with the surveillance state part of it, where maybe it's not exactly like how Orwell envisioned it, but I was reading somewhere where you know, they want ICE. I guess it was ICE. They want to use AI to use facial recognition, and there was facial recognition part of it, and then there's also just AI to go into all of social media. And AI can rip through, you know, everything that there is on the internet, and it will pull out anybody that says things that aren't, complimentary or about Trump or about ICE or about any about Republicans or about anything like that. Anything that you've said or posted online, if it wasn't very kind to Trump or to Republicans in general or to anything like that, they want to build this database and then go after those people. And guess who's going to be on that list? I'm going to be on that list because I've got lots of things where I've talked shit about Trump and Noam and Vance and everybody and Mikey Johnson. So if that's not straight out of 1984, I don't know what is. I mean, I know it's not exactly how George Orwell, wrote about in 1948 or whatever when he wrote the book. But it's the same thing, the same idea of gathering this intel against all of their perceived enemies and then going after them. It's very 1980. It's very 1984, and it's very Stalin-like. It's very Russia, Joseph Stalin-like. That's where we're at in our country under Trump. We are in the deep bowels of authoritarianism, and hopefully we'll be able to stand up against it. Like I said earlier, we need to we need to unify and come together and show our strength through our numbers, strength in numbers. DPD says now that Orange Pedophile wants to allocate $1 trillion to the military to keep us safe. He also is suing Georgia for $6.2 million. It seems like a paltry sum in legal fees because they dared charge him with crimes. And amongst other things, being a dictator, an authoritarian, basically a Nazi, Trump is also very petty. Very, very petty, man. DPD says, anyone remember the show Person of Interest? Our New Reality. That sounds familiar, but I don't know. You have to give me more because I don't. It sounds familiar, but it's just not ringing any bells. Gina Maynard says, "Where the hell is Anonymous? We are Legion, my ass." Yeah, I've been saying that too. Then someone will say, like, "Well, they're there. They did this and they did that," but they're not. They're not quite as badass as they presented themselves as being. 10 years ago or whatever. Robert Nicholas says, I'm 70, went through a lot of shit in those years, but this is horrendous. Nola Carter says, DPD, I watched that every show twice. Person of Interest. I'm not sure. Mr. Spock says, use the Larry David way to get out of trouble with ICE. Just have a MAGA hat to put on if you encounter ICE. Well, maybe an old white guy like Larry David could get away with that. I don't know. If you're a person of color, I don't know if that would work. If you're a woman, it might not work because there's a lot of misogyny, But I guess it couldn't hurt to try. I don't know. DPD says also check your voter registration because they are attempting to purge people from the voter rolls. Always check your voter registration. Go to vote.org. It'll have a link. It'll say what state are you from, and you put the state, and it'll take you right to your state's, the registrar's office or the Secretary of State office, or whoever handles the voter registration in your state, and it will show you can find your status if you're registered and good to go or not. So I always recommend vote.org just because it's easy for me to remember. Hey, I'm caught up. I'm all caught up. Oh, I'm all shook up. Oh, yeah. I'm all shook up. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much, everybody. Everybody, I just want to say thank you very much. There was a time when I could do a good John Wayne, but those days are gone. I can't do a John Wayne anymore. I can barely do a Elvis. I can barely do a Velvet Elvis, baby, mama, baby, mama. I'll tell you what, everybody. I don't know why I'm swaying back and forth. I don't think Elvis ever did that. I don't think Elvis ever did anything so uncool as what I'm doing right now with my head. I don't even know why I'm doing that. Probably because it just feels good to sway back and forth. I want everybody there in the house right now. Everybody, hey, everybody. Thank you very much for being here. I want you all to sway from side to side. It feels so good. Just kind of roll your neck. Just roll that tension right off your neck. Come on now, everybody. Oh, yeah, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being there. Oh, we got a post. DBD 5844 says, Person of Interest was a show about the machine. They used facial recognition, and the machine was everywhere following you around. Even when you thought you were not being followed, you were wrong. I don't think I ever saw that show, because it does not ring any bells for me. Nola Carnes says, TJ, about a guy, okay, I guess this is more on the person of interest, about a guy who invented a computer that could detect if someone was going to die. Wow. Well, this is different than that. And he would send this retired military guy to interfere and save people. Is this the same show as what DBD just talked about? Because that sounds like a completely different show to me. Aaron has a meeting in 14 minutes. Aaron, I hope you have a good meeting. Hope you have a good meeting. You're going to have a busy day, so hope all goes well with your meeting. Nola Karn, the machine knows everything. Is this the same show about the facial recognition? Because it sounded like two different shows to me. Oh, that's not the Tim Roth one, was it? Remember Tim Roth like 10 or 15 years ago? Maybe longer now, because time flies. I remember he had a show on, I think it was only on for 1 or 2 seasons, and I remember I really liked it. Was that the show with Tim Roth? What was that show? Does anybody know the show that I'm talking about? DPD says, yeah, TJ. Wait, yeah, what? Yeah, that it was a Tim Roth one? How could I not know what the premise was? How could I forget the premise of the show? Aaron West says, Sugar John has channel memberships. Yes, I do. And super chats. Yes, I do. We're 0 for 5 on the goal, by the way, today. And you can support the show by liking, subscribing, and sharing, which costs you nothing, folks. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. If you have subscribed, please like the show, share the show, get other folks in here to subscribe. We're at 4,279 subscribers, trying to get to 4,500. Membership start as low as $1.99 a month. I appreciate all of our members. You are what keeps this show going. You can also help the show out by supporting us over at Buy Me a Coffee. There's the link, and then later down in the chat, we're going to see the link for PayPal. You can go that route. Whatever you want. Nola says, yes, TJ. It was the Tim Roth one. Wait a minute. All I remember is it was a really good show. I remember watching it, But I don't remember. I guess I forgot the whole premise about knowing everything that's going on and shit. How could I not know? How could I forget that part? Now I feel like I have to go revisit that show. Where can I find it? Sandy Foltz is here on my way to Lockport. All right, Sandy, thanks for coming on in, and have a good day and have a good trip over to Lockport. So if that was the Tim Roth show, I remember I really liked that show. And I guess I just completely forgot about there being some super machine thing or whatever. I guess I forgot the whole premise of it. But I remember I liked it, and I think it was only on for 1 or 2 seasons, and I thought, gee, I remember being upset that they canceled it. I thought they should have gone longer. But how could I not remember the premise? I'm telling you, man, I'm losing my memory. I'm losing my fucking memory. James Green says, TJ, well, I am always spitting out words to see where they splatter. Okay. There's James Green says, hello, neighbor, many blessings. I don't know what that's about. But thanks for being here, James Green. I appreciate you. I do appreciate you. I don't know about the words splattering things about, but Sandy folks, I'm in the cab riding to Lockport. Oh, taking a cab, huh? Mr. Spock says 420. Nick Rich. I think Nick Rich left. I think Nick Rich has left the building. Nick Rich has left the building. Aaron West says the man who played the architect of the machine in that show, person of interest, is married to the Elsbeth actress. So maybe it's not Tim Roth, because I don't know. Is Tim Roth married to the Elsbeth actress? I don't even know. I think I've heard of. Oh, Elsbeth. I think I did watch that show once. It's a good show. I know that's been on for a few seasons now, right? 2 or 3 seasons. I remember it's a good show, but I just don't really watch over-the-air TV all that much. But it's like she's like a little detective lady. She's really kind of funny, but she's like a super sleuth. She got sent to New York to solve cases or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, okay, I don't know who that is. Is she married to Tim Roth? I don't know. Now I think I've just confused all kinds of things here. I think I'm confusing a bunch of different shows. Nola Carr says not Tim Roth. Tim Roth's show was about catching people who lied. Yes, can't remember right now. Yeah, it was something like, I think lie was in the title. Lie to me or something like that. That's the one I was thinking about. Thank God, actually, because I mean, right now I can't remember the exact premise of that show either, but at least I wasn't so far off, about the other show that you guys are talking about, which I really have no recollection of whatsoever. And if that was the show that Tim Roth was in, then that I would really be fucked up. If you know what I mean? So thank God that Tim Roth was not in that show. Yeah, I think it was something like Lie to Me or something like that. I thought that was a really good show. I think it might have only been on 1 season, maybe 2. And it's a shame. I thought it was a good show. I think they could have got a good, who knows, 5 or 10 year run out of it, but maybe not 10 years, but at least 5 or 6 years, I think. John Wayne phrase. Okay, so was that a John Wayne phrase about spitting out words? Always spitting out words, Pilgrim. Yeah, see where they splatter. I can't do it. I just can't. I can't do it. I got to work on it. That's going to take me some work, serious work, to get my John Wayne down. John Wayne here. I don't know. Yeah, it's going to take work. going to take some work. Nola says, that's it. Lie to me. I think it was, I think it had lie in the title. Yeah, I think it was Lie to Me or something like that. That was before I found out that, Tim Roth was just like a MAGA a-hole. I used to really like Tim Roth from, Reservoir Dogs, especially. And then he did a bunch of movies after that that were pretty good, and I liked them in them. And then he had that series, a short-lived series I thought was really good. And then COVID came, and we found out he's just like a fucking maggot. So, ugh. Him and Van Morrison. I used to like him too. And fucking Clapton. All these fucking assholes that I used to like. Robert Perez is right. Hey, Robert from San Diego way. Good to see you. Thanks for coming on in. Robert says, I just heard the song Mama, We're All Crazy Now and was watching some Congress ladies screaming at Governor Walz and thought the song was appropriate music for the video I was watching, laughing out loud. I don't know if I know that song. We're all crazy now. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Robert says, good day to all in the Trucklers Lounge. Thank you, Robert. How you doing down there, down San Diego way? Belfast Bob says, this is Brokeback Mountain, Pilgrim. This is Brokeback. Hey, I can't do it. I got to work on it. John Wayne here. Can't do it. Not going to do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Not going to do it. All right, there's a bunch of dudes standing around. Riot gear. Let's see. What else is going on? Oh, look at there. Looky there. Boston Brian's on. So, when I go, I'm going to end the show in about 13 minutes, and then we can, whoever's left of us that hasn't already gone to Boston Brian, we can raid Boston Brian in about 13 minutes. If you guys want to hang on for 13 more minutes before you go to the lovely, always boisterous, to say the least, Boston Brian. The boisterous Boston Brian. There you go. That might be a good little catchphrase for Boston Brian. The boisterous Boston Brian. Robert Perez. Sweet was the band. Sweet? The ones that did Ballroom Blitz or whatever? Or was that's Sweet? Mad Mac, lie to me. Isn't that what Snow White said to Pinocchio when she sat on his face? Ba-da-bum. Ba-da-bum-boom. DVD says no, it came on CBS with Jim Caviezel. Back before we knew what a maggot he was, probably. So with Jim Caviezel, whatever his name is, who later went on to become a Trump sycophant. He also was in the movie The Sound of Freedom. Yeah, about Democrats trafficking children. Yeah, I know. And Hal Sparks talked about that movie a lot. He was also in. He also played Jesus in the Mel. I was going to say Mel Brooks in the Mel. What's his face? Movie. What's Mel's name? Mel. God damn, my memory's going. Mel Gibson. The Mel Gibson movie. What was it? The Flogging of Christ or something? All I remember, there was lots of flogging. There was so much flogging of Christ in that movie. I think it was called The Flogging of Christ. It was the bloodiest, floggingest Jesus movie I've ever seen. I mean, Mel Gibson, say a lot of things about Mel Gibson, but if you wanted a movie that showed Jesus getting flogged, that's your movie. Anyhow, Mad Mac, Mama, We're All Crazy Now is sung by the band Slade. Slade. One of my old best friends' name was Slade. by the way. Belfast Bob, Rooster Cogburn. That was a John Wayne movie. Rooster Cogburn or whatever. Yeah. David Dogg's still here. Still here after all these years. I'm still here after all these years. James Hermio not going anywhere right now. Thank you, James. But Press says, oh, Brace. Sorry, I just smoked some good stuff this morning. Well, that's good. At least one of us is feeling good. But Press says Slade. Like I said, one of my best friends' name was Slade. Mel Gibson. Yeah, I finally got it before I read it. Passion of the Christ. I think I prefer Flogging of the Christ. Yeah, DBD, The Passion of the Christ, TJ. Passion of the Christ. Now, Last Temptation, that's a different movie. That's the Willem Dafoe movie where he's dying, when Jesus is on the cross, and then I guess he thinks about what his life would be if he wasn't the Christ, I guess. If he wasn't up there on the cross, dying for everyone's sins, you ungrateful brats. This is the life I could have had. I could have had a wife and kids. I could have been doing my carpentry. But no, here I am up here bleeding to death, and some dude just stabbed me in my side. You ingrates, you ungrateful little brats. That and scene. That was my interpretation of the Passion of the Christ. The Flogging of the Christ, just lots of blood spewing and chunks of skin is what I remember of the movie. Anna Moore says, TJ, as we speak, there are multi-state protests going on regarding... Yeah, and I did capture some of that in the intro from protests were going on, I guess that was last night. And I've seen some of it. Yeah, it's going on in California. It's going on all over the place. Belfast Bob, he's done part 2. Part 2. Who? Caviezel? Louisel Caviezel on that one movie? I don't know. Well, I don't know. John Wayne. I don't know. I got to work on my John Wayne. Catherine Real Hot Talk. I won't watch that shit. It's an obsession of Jesus torture. But it was all for you, you ungrateful brat. I'm just kidding. In lots of different ways. Barbara Nicholas says, Vance says ICE agent has absolute immunity. JD Vance also likes to fuck couches. So, you know, I mean, are we going to believe Vance? Does the man have any credibility whatsoever? Later, Aaron, have a good business meeting. I hope all goes well with you in the meeting. In your meeting. Bad Mac. All those years working at the record store gave me a Name That Tune memory. Laughing out loud. I'm laughing out loud. I'm laughing out loud. Thank you very much. Thank you. Luck Dragon's here. Luck Dragon says, I've been sick since New Year's. Today is the first day where I actually feel completely back to normal. I really want to put a question mark because I just don't feel right not seeing the question marks. And then Luck Dragon's like, Jesus Christ, you complain if I put the question marks in, and you complain when I don't put the question marks in. Mad Max says, I won't watch it either. James Jaramillo, that was one drawn-out snuff movie. David Weiss from Denver says, Life of Brian, not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Look on the bright side. Wasn't that the song when they were singing up on the cross? Bright side. Look on the bright side of life or whatever. Damon Dog, the big dog, says protest at 5:30 in Charlotte. I'll pass on this one. Look, I'm telling you, dude. After this show's over, put on some of your favorite music. Just start painting. Just unwind, tune out. Drop some acid if you want. I don't know. No, I don't want you to self-medicate like that. Stick to your pot. Take a little pot. Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about? Take your little pot. And get your paints out and your easel and paint some more of those beautiful pictures or paintings. And just unwind and unplug. Unplug, that's it, for a bit. Look, Dragon says, we are sorry, John, but Brian actually does great pieces on Ukraine. I know. I said we're going to raid the motherfucker, and I said he's boisterous. There's nothing wrong with being boisterous. I think he is very boisterous. I don't think that's scandalous for me to call him boisterous. And the alliteration of boisterous Boston Brian, I think, is quite ingenious of me. Anyhow, back to your post. Peace on Ukraine, which is very important, and we need to keep up on. But I am here for you, my friend. Thank you, Luck Dragon. Catherine Real Hot Talk says, TJ, that it's funny. It's okay. It's funny. Now I don't even remember what that I said. The Dragon normal. You are right. Oh God, what have I done? Now I've got the question marks back. Mad Max says, my music memory taps out about mid-'80s though, so don't ask me about anything later. You're stuck in the 80s. You're stuck in the mid-'80s. You're stuck in the either the Poison, Motley Crue, Rat, Slaughter. Well, maybe Slaughter was a little bit later. Or Springsteen and Heart era, I guess, of music. DPD 5844 says, also there was a bill that was proposed to curb fraud in Minnesota. The bill would have passed except two Nazi, Kristen Robbins and Marion Rarick, voted against it. Obviously, fraud was not that. Okay. Important. Oh, there. See, you always do that. You leave me hanging, so it doesn't make sense. And then I see that you posted it later, and then so you get me. You always get me every time on that. I guess you ran out of words. I guess there's a word limit. Anyhow, Marie Dream Greco says, same with me, Mad Mac. After 86, I'm mostly clueless. Well, that's kind of sad because for me, I loved when grunge came around. I thought grunge in the early 90s was a great sort of comeback for rock music because so much of it, as far as like, popular music, had gone over to like rap, which I don't really like, or even just I don't know, dance music or whatever. And then grunge made rock back in in popularity, even though it wasn't like classic rock. It was a whole new. It was alt rock. It was alternative rock, grunge rock, alt rock came around and made a big splash. In 91, 92, 93. I'm just talking about bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. I loved all those bands I just mentioned. I loved all those bands. So, and I thought that was just a great resurgence of rock, in a general sense, rock music. I know you say, no, that was grunge or that was alt, but in the general overall category of rock, since so much of the music that was really selling, making money, was rap and some sort of rap fusions and and various music that I just don't really relate to. So you kind of missed out on that. If you checked out in '86, then you missed out on a great kind of alt rock scene of the '90s. So, but it's still all there if you want to go check it out. You know, you can find it. Nola Carn says, Mad Mac, I always told the old men, if I have to listen to this shit, someone better buy me a shot. They did, but they like to look at my tits. Borrow floozy. Mr. Spock, Flock of Seagulls. Mad Max 60 through mid 80s. Oh, no Lamar's Barroom. Oh, Barroom floozy. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You old Barroom floozy. I've known a few of those. Nola Carr's kidding. I was always respectful. DBD, there's not enough words, TJ. Sorry. Oh, yeah. This was funny because I stopped and it didn't make any sense. And then as soon as I found the next word, I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Mr. Spock, Faith No More. Yeah, they had some good songs. Damon Dog, grunge is all fun and games till you get knocked down in the mosh pit. I never did do. By the time grunge came around, I was an old, 32-year-old working at the post office. So I was just listening to it on my headphones whilst processing mail at the Van Nuys processing and distribution center. So I never got into the mosh pit scene. Marie Jane Greco says, I like grunge too, TJ. I just don't know it well. Well, if you've ever heard of Nirvana or Pearl Jam, then there's that. Now, I always group like Alice in Chains in there and Stone Temple Pilots, even though people will say, well, they're not, like Alice in Chains, I think, is a San Diego band, and Stone Temple Pilots is that. It doesn't really matter where you're from. It's just the sound and the era, the feel of it, I think. But whether or not Stone Temple Pilots is a grunge band is immaterial to me. It came up during that time of the alt rock, coming up big, and so I always just lump. To me, it's always kind of like the big four of the just say the early '90s era. I won't say grunge or alt rock. Just say the early '90s era of rock music, which was basically alt rock, but would be, I think, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and Stone Temple Pilots. And then I always put Soundgarden a little bit off to the side, because to me, Soundgarden is just really a '90s era, alt rock era, like hard rock band. And I think Soundgarden is just more like hard rock, but good. And I love Soundgarden. I think they're great. They're a great band. Here we go, getting into music talk again. We do that, seems like, quite a bit. Okay, so we've gone over the 13 minutes that I said. It's just 2:04. So I'm going to be, in a little bit here, we'll be handing it off over to the boisterous Boston Brian. We can go raid him, and I'll put his link in here. DPD, TJ, have you used your pot yet? Wait, my pot? What pot? I don't know what pot you're talking about. Look, Dragon, it's quite noticeable to me that the music from the 70s will never be topped for at least 100 years, 2070 maybe. I like the 70s music. That's when I was in my teenage years. There's a lot of great 70s music. But I do kind of put those 90s bands that I mentioned, they kind of are the 90s version, not necessarily sound wise, but maybe impact wise. They are kind of, that version of maybe of the Beatles and the Stones and the Who and Zeppelin or something. You know what I mean? Look, Dragon, I do love Slayer though. Yeah, Slayer's got some good music, good, just straight on, just hard rock music. I love them. They're good. Love them. Gotta love them. They're a lovable band. Catherine Real Hot Talk. Mosh pits. Miss those days. I just watch those. Marie Jane Greco, Goo Goo Dolls from my hometown. Yeah, I like Goo Goo Dolls. They've got some good songs. Look, Dragon says Led Zeppelin taught me how to play guitar, and Coldplay is responsible for me getting back into piano again. Wow. Wow, wowza. DPD 5841. Kendrick Lamar is pretty good. His lyrics are like silk. Yeah, I'm not really into Kendrick Lamar. I haven't listened to too much of Kendrick. On the radio, though, I do like Teddy Smalls. Is it Teddy Smalls? Isn't he the one that has a really kind of sexy voice? Really soulful, sexy voice. Mad Mac, of course I know the Cielo Grudge. Well, you said you stopped in 86, Mad Mac. Weren't you the one? You said you didn't know anything past 86. So don't come at me now saying like I should know better or whatever. James Jaramillo, this is Stone Temple Pilots lyrics. Smelling like a rose. So somebody gave me on my birthday dead, but I don't have the tune down right, but yeah, that's definitely Stone Temple Pilots song. Oh, the big pot. When you said pot, I'm thinking, do I have some pot around here? Like this? Yeah, of course I still got the big pot. It's right up there. I put it back on the fridge because remember it was like vibrating, and then so I put some these plastic bags underneath it, and it doesn't make the vibrating sound anymore. Animore says, yeah, she put the stock pot. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Do I have pot in here now? Look, Dragon, early in the morning I was crying for Renee. Now I'm crying over Chris Cornell. I know, man. So sad. So sad, Chris Cornell. Mr. Spock, Dread Zeppelin. I know I've heard them. Were they always on like Dr. Demento or something? Or? I don't know. Mad Mac, but I live in Seattle. Okay, but you said I don't know anything after 86. David Dog, I was listening to Incubus on the way home from VA this morning. Incubus, good. They're good. They're good. I like Incubus. Mad Mac, did you ever crack open? Are you talking about the Hennessy, Mad Mac? Mad Mac says, did you ever crack open the bottle of booze you got from someone that you drove somewhere? That's the bottle of Hennessy, the famous, or is it infamous or famous bottle of Hennessy that I always bring up, that I always threaten to crack open. And no, I have not cracked it open yet. It's still in the cupboard, sealed. Yeah, that's the Hennessy. Look, Dragon says, I love having the cassette of Rain in Blood. It was so cool because once it was over, you could flip it over to the other side and listen to it again, and then flip it over to the other side. And you're so funny, Love Dragon. Now that made me laugh. Love Dragon's always saying that he doesn't make me laugh. That made me laugh, but only because it was so stupid. I laughed out of the stupidity of it. Anyhow, Mad Max says Dred Zepp has a singer that sounds like Elvis, but they sing Led Zeppelin song. I think Dr. Demento may have played. That's probably where I heard it, but that sounds like something Dr. Demento would play. Anyhow, guys, so we're going to wrap this up. And let me see. I mean, not like you need the link, because I know you guys all go there anyhow. But I guess I'll put the link in the chat. And at some point, we can we can go over there. But before we go over there, of course, we got to have our special guests. Oh, Trucker John says I'm special. Isn't that nice? Go fuck yourself, Trucker John. I ain't special. Bringing me into the last second. What's that all about? Hell, I should be doing the whole show instead of this last second bullshit. Anyhow, I'm gonna do the one. I'm gonna be the one to put the link in there. Now, don't go there yet, guys. Wait until the words of wisdom and all that bullshit. But right there, we're gonna put in the boisterous Boston Brian. There you go. I like that, Trucker John. He actually came up with something somewhat witty, Trucker John. Finally, after all these years, somewhat witty. There. The boisterous Boston Brian. There's the link. In a few minutes, hit that link. Don't do it right now because I'm talking. No one leaves when I'm talking. All right? You don't leave when Tough Cookie's on here. But you can go over there. And if you do go over there, make sure that you tell them Tough Cookie sent you. Oh, I mean, no. Tell them Trucker John sent you. Tell them it's a Trucker John Tough Cookie convoy. I don't know. Do what you want. Who am I to tell you what to do? Far be it from me to tell you guys what to do. All right? Far be it from me. All right. And if you want, you can tell them that Paul the Purple Beard guy sent you over there to Boston Brian. In fact, I've been watching Boston Brian for like the last hour now. I didn't even know this Trucker John was even on today. Anyhow, you know, I'm a lobster or whatever they call it. I'm a whatever. Yeah. So anyhow, thanks guys though for the people that were here. Thank you so much for being here. And Trucker John, you're on tomorrow, right? Yeah. Yeah. So Trucker John's going to be on again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Maybe he'll get the intro done on time, you know, for tomorrow. Anyhow, but thanks for being here, guys. I do appreciate you. You guys have a good one. All right, Paul, Bird Guy, Tough Cookie, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. And all of you that were in here today, and all of you that aren't here now but were here earlier, thank you so much for being here. Please subscribe if you haven't done so, or share the show to let others maybe come in and subscribe. That would be great. We're trying to get to 4,500 subscriptions. We're getting close, so let's do that. Let's get her done. Now all that's left is the words of wisdom. And then after the words of wisdom, you can hit that link to Boisterous Boston Brian and tell him that Trucker John sent you, all 20 of you. And let's do that. Okay, you ready for the words of wisdom? Okay, so for today's words of wisdom, write this down. Today's words of wisdom are as follows. Okay, so just
Well, it's time to say goodbye. The show has come to an end. But don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. We'll have some fun times, hopefully nothing too bad. We might talk about war crimes, might talk about Baghdad. I doubt we'll talk about door chimes, but if we did, I'd be only too glad. So I style of Easter, baby. The show is over, but could I ask you maybe to take a shower? No, that's not what I meant, but I couldn't think of anything to rhyme with over. Now my whole rhyming scheme is all screwed up. Oh shit, I should have stuck to truck driving, who I tried to kid. At least when I was out there driving, I could handle a skid, but doing this live stream, baby, has been a real kid. So I hope to see y'all again right here on the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna do it again and again, right here in the Trucker John live stream. Yeah, the Trucker John live stream. We're gonna come back and do it all again. No, this ain't no dream. This is where we win, right here on the Trucker John live stream. No, this time to say goodbye. The show is coming in. Don't be sad, no, don't you cry. We're all gonna come back and meet again. Rolling down the highway in my rusty old rig. I'm a retired trucker, but my spirit's still big. Living in Vegas, where the lights never sleep. Broadcasting my thoughts for the world to keep. From politics to pop culture, I've got it all. Sharing my views, no matter how big or small. Talking about food, the movies and bugs. Shining a light on all the social issues. No shrugs, I've driven through the desert, seen the city so bright. But now I'm living in a different kind of fight. From my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. In my apartment in Las Vegas, I hold the key, exploring the world through my live stream for free. want to take a trip down Paradise Road, but it ain't that pretty, it ain't paved with gold. Everybody's got the dirty little secrets, everybody's got some things unknown. But if you ain't real careful, baby, it'll cut you down to the bone. Under all those bright lights, you've gotta learn to ignore the glitter. It's all about fight or flight, and you don't wanna do either. So go on down to Paradise Road, it'll make you wish that you were young. But all it'll do is make you feel old and regret trading in your love for lust. It's all just a big charade, it's all just one big game, and it ain't about love. It's all about the thrills, it's about staying in the hunt, it's about going in for the kill. So head on down to Paradise Road, that's where your friends are now. They're the people that nobody knows. So go ahead and make your big show. So live it up on Paradise Road, just don't let anyone know. It'll be your dirty little secret, it'll be your guilty little pleasure. Living a secret that the whole world sees, hiding in plain sight among the scum and the thieves. It's so damn hard to ever be pleased. Everyone wants to live the good life, everybody wants a piece of paradise. But where would you run? Where would you hide? What would you do to buy a little more time? Grandiose dreams of happily ever after are really just another day's end. And when the sun goes down, you just lay there wondering, can you really do it all again? You're praying for one last shot, you're hoping for one last big win. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Paradise Road is calling, so you better hurry along. Show's over, I'm out of here, folks. Bye.